Hello, friends. Welcome. I am Ananda Rose. Thank you for joining me. And for those of you on Light Language Messenger, you're very welcome here as well. I wanted to do a small clip today to attach to a recording I did last week and did not publish it. And so I thought I might do this small clip to explain a little bit about this recording, why it was not published last week. Well, it was meant to go live on the 24th, which was Friday. And it is a story of my journey with Baxter, the first couple of years of our lives together. I have to say, I just did not have the energy to go through and listen to it and review and decide what parts needed to be in there. And I don't usually do that. But because of the video I'd put out, the last video I put out where I was the one speaking, the one before Kirsty's, I was a little bit like I needed to wait. The energy was a lot and I needed to wait. Now, the energy is a lot, right, at the moment. And I'm going to do another video today. So if you see me in the same top, it'll be because I'm doing it today. I just wanted to explain the video coming up a little bit, and then I'll go away and do another video for what comes in after this video. So it is a story about Baxter and I. I I apologize in advance for the language sometimes not being very clear and maybe a little bit confusing. It was done in the moment, and I'm learning to storytell myself. But it's a story where there's a lot of error on the human side, okay? And I'm hoping that some of the things I said that I'd done in the story to improve our relationship, to improve the life of living with Baxter, is going to be a bit of an education to anybody out there who is thinking of getting a dog or who has a dog and might be struggling. So I thought I might say that and kick off the video. This story is really about honoring Baxter, my beautiful dog, and saying, that your pet is a companion for their lifetime and possibly yours, and that how we do need to make adjustments for our pets. It is like having a child and making the adjustments you need to make for a child. That's the reality of it. And so I hope you enjoy, friends. It does conclude with a light language message, and there's some pictures of Baxter and some of the other pets mentioned in the video. So I hope you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Welcome. I am Ananda Rose. Thank you for joining me. And for those of you on Light Language Messenger, you're very welcome here as well. Well, friends, I got to this recording. It's after 5 in the afternoon here today. And so it's a little bit dark. And we've just had some overcast weather for this week. Started off with rain. And it just seems to be continuing, but we're going to make the most of it. And the reason why I'm doing the video at this time of the afternoon is because we have had builders here at the house, as I mentioned in one of the other videos or a couple of the other videos. And I've just, I can't do it in the morning. I can't do it whilst they're here. So what you're hearing in the background is Baxter walking around, and now he's just slapping up his water. And it's really interesting because this video is about him. And of course, we're bringing in a light language message with some of the themes around my learning with Baxter and our relationship. So I have my cup of tea with me. I'm just going to try and lift it up and not make sure I don't spill it. There you go. So, it's that kind of thing. It's cup of tea time and telling a story. Now, let's do a clearing. Because I think in anything, it's always good. You cannot have enough clearing, can you? I mean, it's a good thing to do, always. Okay. So as our feet are firmly planted on the ground, we'll just go karamatia ro haile to kuramahaila to furanahailo to mahurunamatiara namahai. Ora mahai. Yo. And so I'm going to turn that musician's mode off because we want to try and minimize all the sounds we're hearing in the background, including Baxter might suddenly bark because it's Baxter's reactive time. He has reactive hours from specifically from 3 to 6 p.m. every day. And he did that as a baby, as a puppy, and he still does it from time to time. Yeah, it feels a little bit dark on that side. Well, because there isn't any sunlight going through there. And so I apologize for that if it feels like that, friends. But let's talk about this. I'm told I have to do this video today, otherwise I'll wait, but I'm going to do this one and then we progress from there and see whatever happens next. Okay. And yeah, I've got all the lights on, except maybe I don't have that one on, and I should probably put that one on. So I'll ask you to bear with me whilst I just pause the video. Yes, I've got to be better at remembering to do certain things. I just take so long to get ready for this, and then then I realize, oh, I should have done that, and I don't. All right, let's talk about today. So I had the download to share Baxter's story, especially after last week's the two videos that I put out about dogs and different experiences. One with both with humans and dogs. This I put out on Saturday and Sunday last week. And I was asked to talk about my history with Baxter. And I've got to say, I am going to give you the shortened version of this, but I'm going to give you the shortened version with some highlights in it. And so we'll try and do this video not so long because I prefer to watch shorter videos myself. So I understand it. And we will do a light language. The intention with the light language is to clear. I'm going to say it again. We did clearing for the planet. And I didn't say it before, so sorry if I say I'm going to say it again. I don't know why I said that. It is to clear us, those that are on the awakening journey. Some of us have some guilt. We have some blocks. We have some trauma about things we did in our low vibrational experiences with animals, with people, all right? But I'm hoping that Baxter's story is going to make you feel better. It's going to make you feel better, and it's also going to make you see a perspective of what animals are here doing for us. Now, whether you identify with being a star being or a star seed, light being, light worker, is irrelevant. The point is that you are here and you're watching this. And whatever you get out of it, I hope that it's going to be to your benefit. So let's go. My daughter left home in 2015 to go overseas. And I suddenly realized that I was on my own and quite often, finding that change of life quite lonely. So she was away overseas for a few years. And in this time, I did quite a few big projects, which took me away from home, which meant I worked long hours, which sort of, filled the gap. But as I was getting towards 2017, I started really anchoring and for a dog. And I was nostalgic for a dog. We just lost our cat in 2015. And I decided to go and I was trying to foster cats afterwards, and it didn't work out because I was a failed foster. And then in the end, it just happened that I couldn't keep the cat because I was just still so traumatized with our cat passing away that I had to cancel that plan for myself, which left me feeling terrible because I returned someone that I thought I might make my family member. This was Diva, beautiful tortoiseshell Diva. I had tried twice. Diva was the one where I really had thought, okay, I'm going to go from foster to adopting. And then I had to retract because I suddenly really got the culture shock that I was not ready for it. And she would have been better off with someone else than with me. And ironically, the next person who adopted Diva was called Rose. How's that, hey? Anyway, So I carried on doing my work after we lost Louis, our cat, and as it's getting towards 2017, things were sort of happening, but they were happening in stages with work. And I would often walk on my own and, not looking to have a relationship or anything like that because, I'm pretty okay on my own. I love my independence and my solitude and solitary confinement. Thank you very much. I take that willingly. Um, However, I just started to feel the desire, this desire to have a dog. And then I was looking at different things, and then I did a hosting dogs that were being trained to look after people who or children who had cerebral palsy and other things, other illnesses that a dog companion would have helped them through that or would have been a good guide for them. And I had Anna that I hosted, and Anna was amazing, and she's a golden retriever, but a beautiful natured golden retriever. And in many ways, I could see she was going to be failed as a working dog. But I understood from the trainer eventually that she did get a family, and she was got a family in Australia, actually. Anyway, Anna was my test to myself to see if I could cope with a big dog because I'd never had a big dog before. All our times in the past, we've always had Maltese, poodles, or Bichon Frise dogs, and we just did not have a big dog. Anyway, the time went by, and then in 2018, my daughter was returning. And just before that, I was looking for dogs, and I was looking for dogs on the SPCA's website. I decided, all right, I tried with the German Shepherds. I didn't qualify to adopt one of their retired dogs, police dogs, because I didn't have enough space for them. I thought, right, let me just look at the SPCA. And I looked at the SPCA locally, and I just couldn't find the dog that I felt connected with online. Then I started to go outside of Auckland, SPCA websites outside of Auckland. And then I found this dog up in a place called Kerikeri at the SPCA in Kerikeri, which is north of Auckland and 4 hours away. And I just saw this little dog, and they called him Cade. And I just thought, oh, he's lovely. And the next picture that I saw was his brother. And I thought, wow, he's beautiful. And this was Baxter. And he had another name. The SPCA gives them their own name, and then we can change our name as change the name. The name they gave him was Titan, and there was no way I could call him Titan. I couldn't feel like I wouldn't feel I could see myself calling my dog Cade, like his brother, but I couldn't see myself calling him Titan. Anyway, so I went up to visit because I thought, oh, I'll take a drive there one weekend and I'll just go and visit the dogs and see how I feel. And when I got there, we saw them. Went with my daughter. She'd come back by this time. We saw them, and both of them and a few of the other siblings were looking at us through the crate or the cage. And then we went up to Cade and we were saying hello to Cade, and Cade was already spoken for, but we still were saying hello to him. And Baxter just came in and put his face in front of Cade so we could look at him. And And I said to the lady at the SPCA, I just want to think about it some more. I think I know what we want. I think it will, but I'll ask you on Monday after I've had a sleep on it, and I'll tell you which one we're into. And as we walked away, Baxter just like went, he just flopped his shoulders. And I just thought, oh, it was like almost like he was saying, oh, there you go, another one's just left us. And I'm trying to tell them that it's me they have to take home. And so that is the story of how we first saw Baxter. We brought him home about a month later, or 3 weeks later, because we had to go through some stuff and get ready for him. And when we got him home, I was then so freaked out by the whole thing. I've got to have a sip of my tea. It's getting cold. I was kind of freaked out by it because I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to cope with this? I don't know if I can cope with a puppy. I had really hoped for a dog who was mature, who was in retirement, who understood, that didn't need training, that I could just say certain commands and they would just do it. And yeah, it was with a puppy. And so began our journey with Baxter. And we had him for 4 months. And in that time, we We made sure we put him on a diet. He was very good. The toilet training was amazing. He was already toilet trained. He would tell you, like from day one, he would tell you he needs to get out of the crate because we put him to sleep in the crate at night. And they say it's a good thing to do to give dogs a safe place for their own, that if they feel a bit vulnerable, they can just go in there and they feel, okay, right, I'm in my safe space. And so we did that. And at night we would crate him, which was the best thing we could do for a puppy because puppies creating a puppy at night is great because it means that you're giving them you're not letting them just have the run of the house when you're asleep and they can do whatever they like. You're just showing them, okay, this is where you sleep, this is your bed, this is where you sleep, this is your safe place. And over time, if you want to allow them out of the crate at night, then you do it over time, but you do it in stages as well. And so we went on. But one of the things, and I'm cutting this story short, right? Over the time, we noticed like the training was tough. I did not know what I was getting into when I got Baxter. I did not realize that there was so much involved. It wasn't like when I was a kid and when you just felt like it, you had this anchoring for a dog. You got a dog and then it lived with you and then you just left it outside and it did whatever and you didn't have to interact. You just made sure you made sure it got its food, it's got a nice warm place to sleep. All of that it was very much one-to-one interaction. And then initially, we had a cat, our neighbor's cat called Banks visiting us, and he would hang out with us even when the parents were at home. He loved our house so much. And so Banks would come because that's Banks's space, right? And initially, Banks managed to dominate and say to Baxter, this is my boundaries. You don't come beyond that, and don't try to roll me around and all of that because even though you're big, I'm still like here before you, and know the hierarchy. But after a while, Banks relaxed. And it wasn't a long while, a short while. And then Baxter started to take advantage of him and then start rolling him around and chase him around and grab him and wrestle him. And it got a little bit too stressful for me. Anyway, I keep having this. I'm trying to get rid of flies, by the way. It's summer. And I keep thinking I need to find a natural way without spraying them because I don't want to spray them. It's not a good way for them to go. But now, every now and then, there's one that just comes into the house if the door's open. So please excuse me. You would have heard the buzzing over my head. And no, the house is quite clean. It's not like, it's not that it's coming because we've got a dirty house or anything like that. We've got food sitting there uncovered or anything like that. So sorry, I know you didn't think that, but I just wanted to say that. So anyway, back to Baxter. And so we started to do training and it was tough. We did training every week with a trainer and it was just really tough. But what we noticed was no matter how we tried to bond with Baxter, he wasn't bonding with us. He loved men. And if a friend or my daughter's partner came over, he was all over him. He would follow all the commands that he was giving him and he wouldn't do it with us. And there were times when he would just like come from behind you and jump up on you and nip you. And it was really, and I remember thinking about this and I was talking to the lady at SPCA about it. And she said, no, he shouldn't be doing that. She doesn't know why. And, you know, it just worked out in the end that, long story short, we took Baxter back. We took him back to the SPCA because he was just not fitting into our family. He didn't like the woman, and there was only woman in our house that lived with him regularly. He would just jump up behind my daughter and nip her on the back or something like that. And it was just like, what was going on? We didn't understand. And so I made the decision after much, much, much thought, prayer, tuning in, trauma, to return him because I felt what had come to my realization was that I had taken on more than I could have or I was capable of coping with. I had come to the realization that he didn't bond with me. He didn't bond very much with my daughter. She got better from him than I got. People were saying to me, but you are the one in charge. Don't expect, if he sees you as a master, he's not going to bond with you because you're the one who gives the instructions and he sees you as the head. But still, I'd walk in the room and nothing. And I didn't feel like I wanted to be his master in that way. I didn't want to dominate him to that. I wanted a loving relationship with my family pet, right? So in the end, I had to make the tough decision to take him back because he wasn't fitting in. And I felt that if I took him back, I would be giving him an option to find or to for the people who he would bond and blend in, to find the people that suited his nature. There was that there was that to take him back and give him the chance. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. When I had to take Diva back, my failed foster, I was distraught. But I also had a lot of peace when they said to me, although they're not allowed to tell me, but the foster person at the SPCA said, Rose, I'm going to tell you this. Diva was adopted and she was adopted by somebody called Rose. And I think that what it was all divinely orchestrated. That's what she said to me. And she said, you were the Rose to nurture and help her to get back into being trusting of humans. And now she will live with another Rose who takes her through that next journey of her life. And that really made my heart sing because Diva's leg, one of her, I think it's a right forepaw, had to be amputated because the previous owner that she was rescued from had neglected to take her to get medical attention at the vet, and she was injured or hurt or whatever. And that is how Diva came to be with the SPCA. Story of Diva. And so that was already, in my mind that I had taken Diva back, and then there I was doing this with Baxter. But I had to give in. I had to say, I've given up. I've done everything. I've tried. And the dog won't bond. But he also is very unhappy living with us. He just seems to be happier with people who visit us, like, my daughter's boyfriend, his brother, whomever. My friends that are male. And I have male friends, not romantic people, but just friends that I've known for years, etc. And so I took Baxter back. I remember taking him back after so much meditation, after so much praying. And I took him back. The day I took him back, I drove north to Kerry by myself with him. And all of that way, my heart was so heavy. And when I took him back and I left him there, he didn't even look back. Even as we were arriving at Kerry, the town of Kerry, he just perked up. He was just like looking away, looking around and all that. And prior to that, he was just like lying there, I'm just going somewhere with this lady. And so that was how we ended up with being separate. I didn't sleep for 3 weeks. I couldn't sleep for 3 weeks. I just tuned in and I just tuned in and I prayed and I asked for the help of all the teams of light to look after Baxter. He is a beautiful dog. And he's amazing looking, right? He's also a cross between a German Shepherd and a Hunterway, New Zealand Hunterway dog. So that hunting instincts comes from the Hunterway. That one person protective bonding connection comes from that German Shepherd. But whatever it was, but this is a beautiful combination of a dog. However, he just didn't want me. He just didn't, bond with me. Anyway, as the times went by, as the weeks went by, I had taken Baxter back on the proviso that they would let me ask questions like that I could call and say, how's he doing? That I could check up on him, because that was important that I was allowed to do that. And I know that they don't usually do that. However, this happened. And as the months followed, my life kind of went back to normal. I had a big project. I was busy with the project, but I would be contacting them every other week and asking about Baxter. And so what happened was over the time, this was now January, and in June that following year, Baxter turned 1 year. It was his first birthday. And I was watching it online to see he was up for adoption. And He was just staying there up for adoption. When I talked to them, they said to me there were a few people interested. They've come, they've completed the forms, and they don't come back or whatever. You see, I'd asked the guides to keep Baxter safe from anyone who had ill intent with him. He's the kind of dog, this is what I was trying to get to when I was talking about his looks and his breed. He's the kind of dog that if he got into the wrong hands, he could be used for dog fights. They would get a result out of him. He's very stocky built and he's strong. He's got the stature of his fore body has got the stature of the Hunter, and that's quite a stocky built dog. Yeah, the coloring and everything is more of the German Shepherd. But so, we worked out by this time that he had been reactive. He's a reactive dog. And in fact, it's probably more in recent times that we work out that Baxter's reactive since we've moved to this house because we would not have called him reactive then. But people had come in and out saying such as using the statement. Anyway, when Baxter turned a year old, I decided to go and visit him on his birthday because he was still at the SPCA. And I thought, no, I'm just going to go visit him. And I went up. I went with a friend. So this is my friend Brian, and we went up together. And it was starting to get a bit romantic with us. And so, we just thought, oh, we'll go. Because it bothered me so much. Brian was saying, hey, let's go. Anyway, we went up there to visit him. And when I looked at Baxter, I was shocked. Because the picture they had on at the SPCA was of the day that he'd just gone, like the few days in that he'd just gone back. But when I saw him 6 months later, he had lost so much weight. Went up to him and he put his body up against me through the crate because he remembered me. And I touched him through the crate and I could count his ribs because he had lost so much weight. The SPCA were not starving him or anything, obviously not. They were doing their best to take care of him, but they couldn't understand why he was losing weight. They were trying to change the diet to make sure that they can improve his weight and all of that. And so I was quite troubled by this, and I left the SPCA that day thinking I want him back. I want him back and I want to try, but I don't want to say anything yet because when I tell them that, I must have a plan for what I'm going to do. And so what I did was I came back home. I thought about it. I thought more and more about it. And then a couple of days later, I emailed them and I said, hey, I would like to try again with Baxter. I have decided that I will take him to one of these professional trainers. This guy is called Mark Vetty, and he's here in New Zealand. He's got a TV show and all of that. I would take him to there. They put me on to some people at Mark Vetty's, and so I thought, well, okay, I'm going to try again with him. But then they said to me, there was somebody down in Christchurch who had seen him and would like him to become part of their family because these are farmers, and the farmers have just lost one of their three dogs, and they're missing this third dog, and so now they feel they're ready to. I don't know when they'd lost the dog, but they're now feeling ready to get a dog, another one, and they were interested in him. Anyway, long story short about that, it didn't work out obviously because Baxter's here, and I don't really need to go into it. But how it happened was that for whatever reason, I don't know, did not work out. And then I kept following up with the SPCA. This was like 2 weeks later. And I said, so what's happening now? Because when she said somebody else is interested, I said, well, let me know what's happening. And I kept following up with her. And then finally she said to me, you can pick Baxter up on the weekend. And so I brought Baxter home. I brought him back. And here he is to this day, home with me. We went to have a consultation with Mark Vetty. And they run a training clinic for dogs, and they explained the processes to me and everything. And I just felt, I said to them, I'll think about it and I'll come back to you. And I just felt they were running the next one. I brought Baxter home by the end of June, beginning of July, And the next one that they were running was going to be in, I think, September. And I felt that I just couldn't let Baxter go and stay somewhere else again for another 3.5 weeks when he'd just been away from me for 6 months or so. And I thought, no, I just said to them, look, I just feel right now we need to have the bonding time. We need to spend time together. We need to be together. And I don't want to send him away from home again. And I don't know what that's doing to his mind, you know? And so I said, well, I'll just hold off for the moment and I'll come back to you later on. In the meantime, what I'd done was I got in touch with a local company called D for Dog Training. They are no longer in operation because they closed their business at the beginning of 2020. But we were one of the last clients they took on. And we would do one-to-one training with Joe. And Joe would come every Saturday. We would get in the car. We would go with her. We would do all sorts of training. And that took us through to like the end of January. And then Joe was closing a business. And then in 2020, I was set to go to America on the Abraham Hicks conference. And that was the time I thought, oh, what do we do with Baxter? Because I'm going to be away because usually you'd have to go somewhere for someone to look after him, like a kennel or something like that. But Joe had known a lady called Corin Barker, and she boarded and trained dogs from her home. She lives rurally here, just north of the city, and she was doing that. And she said, I would recommend Corin. And so I had spoken to Corin sometime in the previous year, like when Baxter came back, but I wasn't sure about Corin. And then when it was coming up that I had to go, I thought, oh, I'm just gonna call her again and see if she's willing to take on Baxter. And so she was. And so I went to America in March of 2020, early March of 2020, 5th of March, the fateful trip. And Baxter went to Corin. And I came back to a very different dog. He was with her for like, I think maybe 16 days. And we came back to our country locking down, but we also came back to me being locked down with the dog. And he had just gone through training. And we have taken our journey from there. I'm going to talk about something that happened that showed me my journey with Baxter in another lifetime. When I got Baxter back, I had a dream one night that my horse, Baxter, had got lost. I was a show jumper in this dream. And I remember is a horse, beautiful, stallion, that russet brown with a thick dark mane. It was wearing this green, like how they put a banner or something over the horse to represent its color or number or whatever. So wearing something like that, yeah, green satin cloth or maybe even like I don't know, a satin shirt or something. It was covered in that, and it just gone missing in a crowd of people. And I was looking, and it's called Baxter. And I was looking for him. I was looking for him everywhere. And everywhere I go, people say, we just saw him here. I go to that place, they say, oh, he's now gone there. And I kept looking for him in the stream. In the end, I came to a barn and someone was telling me he's in there, but I woke up before seeing him. And that is one of my previous or other lifetimes with Baxter. I lost him in another lifetime. And I suddenly started to see how I could have just done it again in this lifetime. If I had not gone back and taken Baxter and given him another chance, given us another chance together, then I would have to come back here and clear that karma. That was one of the things that I had to do, that I realized I was having a karmic experience. So we have gone through lots of training. We've come to realize that Baxter is reactive. And reactive dogs mean that you don't know what they can do stuff unexpectedly and never take anything for granted. I have adjusted my life in terms of, in the last 2.5 years now, I never walk Baxter in suburbia because constantly he's looking for cats. And if he sees the cats, he pulls me. He wants to rush off. And often I've fallen over or I've let go of his lead. And then he's managed to catch up with the cat. And then he and the cat are having this not fight, but the cat's running into the bushes. He's running in through there. He gets injured. The cat has never gotten injured so far, thank you, God. But it is too stressful. He went to daycare. The first year we moved to this house, he went to daycare a couple of times for like casual daycare. Something happened there because when he came back, he had all these scars on his tummy. And when I followed up with the daycare, they said, oh, there were a few Goldens that were humping Baxter. And they had to separate them and keep them in separate places or whatever. But he does not actually have any negative responses to Goldens. He actually has negative responses to dogs like Samoyeds and Huskies and Malamutes, those big fluffy dogs. And he has a very violent reaction to them. He will bark. He will be ready to go there and charge there and tell them off and I don't know, whatever else. And so he still does that no matter what. And so quite often, before we decided to do this where we don't walk in suburbia, those were our experiences. We, even if the dog's across the road or far ahead, if he sees it before I see it, then we have mayhem. However, in the meantime, I found the solution, and that was to not walk in suburbia. I drive Baxter down to the beach and we walk on the beach. We walk in the reserve around the beach. We will walk a couple of streets around the beach. And I am constantly on the lookout for cats because he scans. When he's in suburbia, he scans for cats because that's just his nature. And so that the cat doesn't have a bad experience, so that we don't have bad experiences. So it's a pleasant walk because the walk is my walk too, not just his walk, and I should enjoy it. I used to dread walking Baxter. I used to cringe every time I have to walk him. And now I've found some simple solutions. We go on free runs. We go to Mangamangaroa Reserve, or we go to a place called McLean's College Reserve. This is local. McLean's College has now become the reserve has become a dog park. So we go there and let Baxter go crazy. But even when he's there running around, I have to make sure when we get to the area where there is a flying fox, that he's back on the lead. Because if someone's on the flying fox, the sound of the flying fox sets him off when they are moving on it. And he starts to run alongside them as they are flying through the air. This can be very disconcerting and scary for a person, because you're just going to think the dog's running after you because it's going to bite you. He's just set off by that sound. It freaks him out. Anybody who's on a scooter coming down the road, even if we are on like the middle of our little village here that we live in nearby, this is our little village, all the shops are there and all of that. If somebody's on the pavement or the sidewalk coming past us on a scooter, he goes berserk. It sets him off. He freaks out about it. And so I've just got to make sure I'm on the lookout all the time. But I would rather have Baxter in my life, living this life, adjusting to it, than not have him, because this is what we are ordained to be together, he and I. I've come to see that he's my dragon. He's Bilal, my dragon, my very personal dragon. Bilal has Baxter's face. Yeah, and if you watch Merlin, the series, the dragon's mouth looks a lot like Baxter. Yeah. Friends, I wanted to tell you the story today. And you think, oh my gosh, Rose's story again. But I wanted to tell you about my love, my Baxter. That's our story. I was told to share this story because there are people out there that have done what I've done and they haven't had the opportunity to retract or to go back and start again. Now, if you're worried that you needed to do that with your pet and the karma is going to bring you back and you don't want to come back, please understand we're in a time right now where we can clear our karma without going through the experience. Yeah, we've evolved to that stage. Yeah, we can clear the karma. We don't have to go through the whole traumatic thing again. So that's what I need to say about the good news about that. All right. We've gone past it now. We've gone past it. There's shadows that we will clear. Everything will basically unfold. Where we are right now on the journey is different from where we were 6 months ago. We were doing a lot of shadow work 6 months ago. Now, I'm speaking from my perspective. If you're still doing your shadow work, that means you're probably meant to do it. Yeah. So don't worry if you're still in your shadow work. Maybe that's why you're watching this. That's why you're hearing this, because maybe that's what you have to clear, your shadow. So, friends, today, the light codes we are bringing in is for all of us that carry guilt in some way, shape, or form, whether we are failed foster and then we retracted and went back and said, no, I can't do this for whatever reason, whether we went through knowledge of pets where we were like, I know when we had our dog Buttons, there was a lot I was ignorant of. I was younger, I was ignorant, immature, even though I was a mum. I didn't do for Buttons. I didn't look after him like I looked after Louis, like I looked after all like I look after all the cats, like I look after Baxter, like I look after dogs, other people's cats, or if I was at the cattery or, you know, being part of cat rescue, I didn't give Buttons that much. And to this day, I think, wow, my Buttons, I didn't give him that much. And I should have. I should have. So this video is to honor all the animals in my life where I have had shortcomings, where I didn't understand and respect animals, pets, cats, dogs, birds, flies, where I didn't take the high road and do the high vibrational thing. This video is for me, but it's also for all of you that are feeling the same way as I am right now about that. So thank you so much for watching. Let's take a moment, have a sip of water. And we're going to do a light language. We're going to bring in some light codes. Whatever it was that you did that you didn't feel good about, whatever it was that you experienced and you felt, I could have been better. Know that we are on the journey of awakening. And yes, you're right. We could all have done better. And maybe we didn't. But here's a time to retract. Here's a time to make good from here on, to settle the karma, to deal with the feelings, to deal with the trauma, and to say, I move forward now, enlightened. My theme for the year are two themes: enlightenment. And how do we get there? By operating from the highest vibrational perspective, which is love, for the greatest good of ourselves, of myself, of yourself, and of all the collective. That's it. That's what this vibration is all about. So take a moment to breathe. So, friends, here we are. The light language transmission for the video, bringing in light codes to clear us and to invoke the light codes to advance us in how we resonate with our pets, how we live life, how we come into the realization that pets too have equal value as humans do. And if you're struggling with your pet, if you're finding it hard to adjust to bringing in a new furry family member, then I encourage you to tune in. Hiramaku wa hoa Kiratso Nilevakatserawaku to Farlenamaho Malomahai. We're just going to work with the third eye and the throat chakra and the heart chakra. And between these three chakras, we're going to bring in the breath through the nose, taking it into the third eye, then going down into the throat chakra and then into the heart chakra. And when it's in the heart chakra, we're going to pause And then in our mind's eye, look into the third eye, and then also count in your mind's eye from 1 to 4, and then release your breath. Let's do that 3 times. Now, friends, feet firmly planted on the ground, let's receive the light code to clear us of all past errors in judgment in terms of how we treated our pets. Just take a deep breath again. Ikurunati hura metavara tsemaha ratsematora hafenatayr temao Ikurumahaya wo name Kurumahaya watsiam Hiro rarararana hurumahaya doranahaye wo So we're just clearing. We're getting this green gold light coming through from Archangel Raphael. And just clearing. Just clearing all the blocks, all the guilt, all the fear, all the worry, all the all those things that prevent us from being who we are in our fullness, in our completeness, to be good, to understand our relationship with pets. The gold green light is now turning to be gold green fire. It's transmuting. It's transmuting all that stuck energy, all the misconception. This is a gentle burn and a gentle revamp. And now the dragons from Mercury, the blue gold dragons from Mercury arrive. And remember, these dragons, they realign, reinterpret our communications, our thought patterns to be of high vibrations. Breathing, beloved ones. Breathe. Breathe. Breathe in through the nose. Going into the third eye with that breath, and then coming into your throat chakra, and then just swelling the breath, pausing with the breath in your throat, and then going down to your heart chakra, and feeling the heart expanding. And see that the Mercury dragons, or the dragons from Mercury, bringing in the light codes, dropping it into the third eye, and then processing that through in your third eye, and then as it falls through, and then it goes to the next chakra, through the throat chakra, and the blue and gold. And then the blue and gold dragons of Mercury are now bringing in that light code into your heart. No, beloveds, you are forgiven. Beloveds, you are forgiven. You are not awakened. Kiramatura tselenoae. Kiramatura tselenoae. Beloveds, you are forgiven. You are forgiven. Yeramaho, 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 yam, erenuayam. Kiramatu faranachaito, faranachaito. Yeramatu ranachaila matua, yeramatsiam. We feel now this rush of golden light coming through like fireworks into our energy space, into our aura, into the mental space, into the physical space, into the heart space, into the emotional body. Larmachaya toa heya heya. Thank you, beloved ones. I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope that it made some sense to you, and I hope that it resonates with you, that you look within yourself, because this is a time of clearing, of healing, of bringing light codes for us to continue in the high vibrational space that we are in, to continue with the understanding as our lives unfold with the furry family that we have, for the fur pets, for our fur babies, for our fur family. Please love and hug and kiss your dog and your cat today. Whatever pet you have. Thank you, friends. Thank you so much. Namaste.